I suppose when someone goes away from uploading content on his platform for such a long period of time, one could ask, is there really an excuse for suddenly not being present for so long? And I believe there is not really a simple yes or no answer to that kind of question. It honestly depends. Everyone is going to have their own reasons for why they would leave. But seeing as I'm now back to uploading, I believe it's appropriate for me to explain myself. Where have I been for 5 years? The last video I uploaded was during the first lockdown in 2020. Ironically enough, that said video was talking about things that were happening during the lockdowns. But furthermore, I thought I'd put together the reasons that I did leave, because I know there were a number of people asking why I disappeared like I did. So first of all, to put it bluntly, life just got in the way, starting with work. Work leaves less incentive to regularly upload, and you have less time to do so as well. I feel people who have a real job and do YouTube on the side can sympathise with this. At the end of the day, putting bread on the table comes before doing YouTube full time, especially if you're not actually making any money off of YouTube. People who do 8-hour, 12-hour plus long shifts generally don't want to come back doing more what could be considered work at home. They usually want to get changed, shower, lay down on the sofa and relax during that time that we have before you have to go to bed to be up in time for the next shift the next day. When the videos I made sometimes took hours to research, write out, take notes, record, edit and upload, I simply didn't have the time to make the decent content, which is what I always strived for. The other big reason I was absent for so long was that I've honestly lost a lot of family members over the last couple of years. These were people who I regularly seen and visited. These weren't just people who I only saw on Christmases and birthdays or something. These were people who I was acquainted with on a day-to-day basis. If there was something that didn't want me to come back to YouTube anytime soon, it was that. So I think we'll start from the beginning. So first, on the 25th of December 2023, Christmas Day, I lost my aunt. A couple of days before, we got the call in the middle of the night that she had collapsed from a heart attack and was taken to hospital later that night. This would have been probably about 1, 2-ish in the morning. She was on life support for those final days she was alive when she was in the hospital, according to doctors. When they did the MRI scans, there was no saving her. There was apparently no chance she was going to wake up. To say this was devastating when we got this news, let alone on Christmas Day, was an understatement. It was beyond devastating, and I've not had a normal Christmas since that happened. Then fast forward to the 19th of April last year, 2024. I was actually in Inglemells at the time with my missus and her family that week. I got a call in the morning from my mum that my granddad had passed away in the hospital in the middle of the night. I guess to an extent it was expected. I mean, he was 90 years old, he did have health issues for years. These stemmed from working down the pit for 40 years. But it didn't make it any less devastating when you finally hear the news for real in the flesh. I mean, this was someone who I regularly visited after I finished work, because back then I did earlies on a Sunday, so I had time to sit with my granddad for about an hour, sit with him, watch telly with him, and ultimately chat with him. I did this every Sunday. We'd sit, we'd watch the snooker. He liked the darts. He used to love his old black and white westerns. He loved his John Waynes, and I ultimately enjoyed the time, and I cherish that time now that I spent with him watching those films and watching that snooker and darts. And then finally, on the 6th of June this year, I lost my other aunt. This was someone who was present when I was born, which makes it all the more painful. She had issues with her liver for about 10-15 years. She needed a transplant, and if she got it, she'd probably still be alive today, which makes it all the more painful and infuriating. She didn't even get on the waiting list for a transplant. That's how bad it was. I'd argue, even after 5 months of this happening, it's still painful, and I'm still feeling the after effects of losing someone who was essentially like a second mother to me. But to conclude everything, am I back full time? And the honest answer to that is I honestly don't know. I guess the best way to answer this is if I'm still uploading videos weeks from now, then yes. If I'm not, it's because something else has came up. I think what I'm going to be doing going forward, at least for now, because these are essentially the baby steps in coming back to Lord Flashheart, I'm probably going to be doing this as a hobby for a while. You know, doing it whenever I've got myself some free time. If I've got time to upload a video, then I will do it. I have got a couple of other ideas for videos that I do want to make at some point. But for now, as I mentioned, it's one step at a time, and it's ultimately just a wait and see kind of thing. But I also want to conclude this by giving some advice to other people that are watching this right now. And my advice is this: if you've got family, you know, if you've not seen them for a while or you don't visit them often, try and find time to visit them. If you've got them in your phone, just give them a call. If you've got them on like the Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, drop a message to them. Try and find time to visit those family members who you likely or probably don't visit very often, because you never know if they are still there tomorrow. And in the long run, you will thank yourself for it. Heed this advice from someone that learned this the hard way. Try and be there for your family. Visit those family members, those grandparents who you might not see very often. If you don't live near them, just send a text to them, call them, just something like that. It can be brief, but just let them know that you're there for them, and they will thank you for that, and you'll feel better after doing it. But ultimately, gentlemen, this video is now coming to an end. Be sure to rate, comment, favourite, share and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you again. Cheerio.